If you'd like to see me do this Christmas party makeup look for 2021 on my over 50 skin, then please keep watching. Hello, Des here, and thank you so much for joining me on my Christmas party makeup for 2021 on my mature over 50 skin. I'm really excited to be doing this, partly because I've actually got a party to go to, not like last year, so I'm really happy about that, and I've got lots of makeup to show you. And actually, very excitingly, I'm going to be doing a sort of duochrome eyeshadow. Now, this comes from watching a fantastic YouTuber called Smita Deepak. And if you don't know her, I will link her channel up here for you and down below in the description box. She is a fantastic young Indian makeup artist. I believe she's probably based in the States, but her videos are absolutely fantastic. I have referenced her before, I believe, in another video which I did about how to tightline, and I will link that up in the corner for you as well and down below in the description box. Anyway, without further ado, let us get started. Now, just to let you know, my skin is normal. I mean, it's sensitive in terms of being allergic to perfume, to fragrance, but it is pretty normal. And amazingly, so far, although we haven't really had a cold snap yet, it doesn't seem to be drying out in any way. I mean, it has been known to get a bit dry in the winter, but at the moment it still seems to be okay. So my skincare is really pared down at the moment. It's incredibly simple. It's literally Argireline, I think that's how it's pronounced, by The Ordinary, followed by a Beauty Pie sunscreen mixed with a vitamin C powder. And I've got a video about where I talk a bit more about those products. I will link that up in the corner for you and down below in the description box. So that's all I've got on my skin at the moment. So the next thing I'm going to do is use a primer. But before I do that, let me pin my hair up just so it's out of the way. There we go. The primer I'm going to be using is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, which is this one here. The jury is still out for me as to whether a primer actually makes a difference to my foundation and to my skin. But one of the things I have noticed, and I'm going to be using the Eldridge foundation, and if you haven't seen my video about that, where I choose the shade that I'm going to, that I was going to purchase, which I now have purchased, I will link that up here and down below for you as well. I've realised that at the moment anyway, the application of foundation for me is best done with my fingers rather than a brush, which is a bit of a revelation to me because of late, especially in the last few months, I've been using a sponge, but I've decided that actually fingers are best. So that's what I'm going to do. And also, particularly with runny foundations, which the Eldridge is quite runny. So let me now just leave that for a second or two while I get hold of my Eldridge, which is here. Now I'm in the shade 14. And actually it's very interesting, in my video, which as I say, I've linked down below and up in the description box, in that video, the comments I got from some of the viewers, and it was really interesting. Some of them said, actually, I don't think shade 14 is your shade and you should perhaps wear 15. And to be honest, it's a bit marginal. I mean, when I went into the shop, which I did about 3 weeks ago now, the sales assistant did say, or I should say the makeup artist who was working there, she did say that she thought I was a 14 as well, which is what I thought. But it is a bit marginal because she also said that my neck is yellow, and I think it'll probably depend also on how much sun I might have been getting, sun exposure. So I'm not saying I would never get a 15, and I may well do in the summer. I may have to go a bit darker because inevitably I'm going to get a bit of sun on my face. Anyway, at the moment we're going with 14. This is the beautiful bottle. It's absolutely stunning. I know some people say they don't like it because it doesn't stand up because it's got a pointy end. But to be honest, I don't mind. At the moment, I've just laid them all down in a drawer, actually, of my dressing table. So let me just give it a bit of a shake. And then it's got a nice pump, which is very handy. And I'm just going to put, I think I'll just put 2 pumps, actually, that should do. But it is quite liquidy, as you can see. Let me pop that down. And now I'm just going to dot it on my face like that. And then I shall massage it in, and we'll see how the coverage is. I mean, I may need a bit more, and it is buildable, this foundation. I mean, it's interesting. Some of the reviews on YouTube, it's a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, I think generally people do like it. But I think it was Pampered Wolf, and if you don't know her, she's a fantastic YouTuber. I think she's a trained beauty therapist or esthetician, and she does really fantastic, very thorough reviews. And she found, I think she liked it, but she said that it did make her skin a bit greasy or oily towards the end of the day or in the middle of the day, so it wasn't a great long wear for her. Right, let me just check in my mirror to see whether I've applied it properly. It doesn't feel, oh yeah. Now you see, that's really interesting. When I was putting it on, I wasn't looking in the mirror. It felt like there wasn't a lot on my face, but actually I'm sure you can see that it's pretty well covered. But let me just check that there aren't any patches. Oh, yeah, there is. See, there was a bit on my nose there. This mirror, by the way, is amazing. I have to have 2 mirrors. Let me know down below in the comments, have you found a decent sized mirror that isn't like tiny like this one, that you can put on your dressing table or on your table where you do your makeup, and it lights up? Because there have been so many comments or reviews of mirrors of that type, and a lot of them are quite negative, that, you know, they don't think it works properly, or the charger's bad, or there's all sorts of comments. So if you know of a really good decent sized mirror, maybe a rectangular one would be good, that you can plug in. I mean, that's fine with me, I don't mind, but also that has a really good magnifying side as well, ideally a double-sided one. If there isn't a double-sided one, I can live without that. But anyway, let me know in the comments below. I'd be really interested, because I have not been able to find one. So let's just check that is, I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so the next thing is concealer, and I'm going to today be using my Teint Idole by Lancôme. And if you want to see a wear test of this one, which I've decided is one of my holy grails, I'll link that up in the corner for you and down below in the description box. I really, really like this concealer. As I say, it's one of my 2 holy grails at the moment. And it's got a nice doe foot applicator. I'm not copying exactly what Smitta did in her video, but I am copying some of it. And one of the things she doesn't do in it is put concealer on her lid, which is what I usually do for primer, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to put it, well, first of all, I'm going to put it under my eyes, because I want to do as much of my face as I possibly can. Actually, let me just do that little blemish. Oh no, I'll do the blemish with the other concealer actually. So I'm just going to pat that with, I've just wet my little sponge, my beauty sponge, and I'm just going to pat that underneath my eyes. Oh, that's a bit wet actually. But I'm not going to get any on my lid, because that's a whole nother story, which we're going to be doing in a moment. Actually, I think I've wet the sponge a bit too much there. Let me just put a bit more on. It's the danger of using a sponge. I suppose one of the reasons I use a sponge is because it's quicker, but of course it's not quicker if you screw it up, is it? So let's do it properly without rushing. Okay, so we're not going to use a sponge. Oops, and we're going to do the patting method, which is what Caroline Barnes, who's another wonderful makeup artist. YouTube is the most fantastic thing. I just love it so much. I started watching YouTube and makeup videos, I suppose in particular, about 8 or 9 years ago. I think it was in about 2013. And I think I'm trying to remember why I was drawn to YouTube. I think I'd sort of ignored it before that, really. And I think it might have been Sally Hughes, another wonderful, well, she's a journalist. I will link her details down below. She doesn't really do videos anymore, but she's very hot on Instagram. And she used to do, when she was working for the Guardian newspaper, which she still does, she used to do videos, and that's how I think I started watching video tutorials and what have you on YouTube. Oh yeah, that's better, isn't it? Let me just check that that's all good. See, look at that. I really, really think that that is a quality concealer. I really do. Now, the other bit of the concealer we have to do is my trusty Laura Mercier, which is so old. Look how old that is. It's ancient. But it's got more sort of staying power in terms of covering up blemishes. And I've got this one blemish here, which is a bit, I don't know if you can see, it's quite red. So I'm going to put a bit of extra coverage on that, just like that, pat it on. I think that the cream, as opposed to the doe foot type of, you know, bottle applicator-y method thing, this is more of a, I suppose it's like a bit like a stick foundation, only in a concealer form. That's better, isn't it? I don't think there's anything. Actually, I seem to have quite a lot of little bumpy zits on this side of my nose as well, so maybe we'll cover these up. Given this is a party makeup, we're trying to look our absolute best. So, oh my gosh, it's just so fantastic to be invited to parties again, isn't it? I mean, this is not a big party, but I have got a few actually. I've got a party in December. I've got, they're all in December actually. I've got another works outing where I may well do the same makeup actually, because one of my work colleagues and I, we just love talking about makeup, which we do as a sort of intro to our Zoom meetings. We start off with, have you tried the latest whatever it is, which is really fun. Okay, so we've got concealer on, that's all good. I'm just going to set the concealer under my eyes with my Charlotte Tilbury powder and this nice fluffy, thick but tapered brush. So we'll just do that. I don't know why I'm opening my mouth like that. That's funny, isn't it? When we do our eye makeup, or a lot of us tend to open our mouths and make a little sad face. I don't know where that comes from, but that's what happened. So now I'm going to apply bronzer and blusher, and I'm going to be using the Milani Sun Kissed Silky Matte Bronzer in 02. This one, and when it first arrived, I only ordered it a few days ago, and when it first arrived I thought, well, that's a bit pale, isn't it? Compared to my Stone Street, which is what I usually use by Bobbi Brown, it's much lighter, but I think it actually works. So let's pop that on with my Morphe brush, and I will link all the products and all the brushes and all of that down below for you in the description box so you can see. Actually, let me look in my mirror. Trying to look in the viewfinder, that's probably not a good idea, is it? So let's put this on. See, I do think that is a really, really good colour for me. There's not really a hint of orange, but it does give a bit of definition. So surprise, surprise, however light. And I do find this is an issue. I don't know whether you do, and leave me a comment below if you do. What it looks like in the pan, I mean, I suppose that makes sense in a way. What it looks like in the pan, whether it's a lipstick, and that's another story which I will come to a bit later, whether it's a lipstick or a bronzer in particular, what it looks like in the pan and what it looks like on my skin are two different things. But anyway, there we are. I think that's a nice, subtle, but a definite bronzery tint to my skin. So I'm very pleased about that. That's a really good product, and drugstore, very reasonably priced. As I say, all the details will be down below. Can't actually remember how much it was, but compared to Stone Street, it's a steal. And now for my blusher, and I really must get another blusher, although I love this blusher very much, which is the Hourglass Ambient. It's the one I always use. I mean, look at that colour. It's so beautiful, isn't it? Let me just swatch it for you, actually, because it is an absolutely stunning colour. I mean, look at that. In fact, that is not dissimilar to Velvet Beauty, the lipstick by Lisa Eldridge. Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to pop that on, and I'm going to try, I mean, I have been known, let me just get my mirror again. I have been known to overdo this a bit, so I need to be a little bit careful, although of course it is a party makeup, so, you know, we can go to town, can't we, literally and metaphorically. So let's just do that. Not coming too far down the cheeks, although I always feel like I want to, because I just think, you know, apples of cheeks ought to have a bit of colour on them, so, but we won't come too far down. There we are, it's not too bad. Right, and now I will blend with my nice kabuki brush from Charlotte Tilbury. Let's just do a bit of blending, just checking my mirror again, make sure it's blending well. Yeah, I really do love that. Love that Ambient blusher, but there is the other colour that I really want to get, and I must order it actually. I'm kind of hoping that Black Friday, when I'm filming this, by the way, it's towards the end of November, but it's the week before Black Friday. It's the Friday before Black Friday, in fact. I'm kind of hoping that I can get the other colour, which I never remember the name of, but Tamara from Tamara's Timeless Beauty absolutely raves about it. It's her go-to blusher, and that's the one I want. But I mean, they're usually about 50 quid, which does seem a little bit steep for a blusher. I may be wrong, maybe they're a little bit less. But, I mean, this is my go-to, and I do need to, I think I need to spend the money if that's the colour I want, because I just like it because it's subtle, it's not too in your face. Right, okay, so that is our face. Now comes the exciting bit. Ooh, love this bit. Okay, so this is the part of the video that has the eye tutorial. And I'm following Smita as closely as I possibly can, but the difference between us is that she has beautiful young skin without any wrinkles, although she herself says she has what she would call a hooded lid, what I would call a deep set eye. So she doesn't have a massive amount of lid space. Now I have, or had, more lid space, but of course I don't now because it's all wrinkled and folded. But in any event, this is what we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to use my Bobbi Brown long wear brow pencil, perfectly defined. And before I start applying the pencil, I'm going to use the brush end. And actually, let me say something else as well. All the products that I'm using on my eyes, you will no doubt have in your own home, and I'm not recommending that you go and buy any of these. I mean, obviously you can do, but you really don't need to. You should have all the tools in your arsenal. Tools even in your makeup arsenal, as it were, including the glittery shadow that I'm going to be using, because I mean virtually every palette has some glitter shadow in it now. So you really don't need to go out and buy any of these products at all. You can just do this with the products that you've got. Now let's crack on with the brows. So the first thing I'm going to do is brush my brows down like this, because that is going to help me. And you can see how sparse my brows are from my dark hair. I mean, yeah, my hair is coloured, obviously, but my hair always was quite dark. It's maybe a little bit richer now due to the colour that I apply, but it's always been very dark. So what I'm going to do, let me come closer so you can see, I'm going to, as I've brushed them down, I'm going to try if I can see what I'm doing. So I'm filling them up at the top. Let me do this one as well. Having brushed them down, it's a bit easier to see where I am sparse. And we will tidy this up a bit in a minute if it looks a bit too strong. Okay, so we've kind of filled in the top bits, and now I'm going to get the spoolie and brush them up the other way. Like that. Right, I'm now going to fill in below the brow to fill in the sparse bits underneath, and then we're going to tidy that up in a minute. Let me just, yeah, I've missed a bit here. I should have used the bigger mirror before. This is the trouble when you're a bit short-sighted. I've actually got one eye for reading and one for distance, which is fine. I mean, I still have to wear reading glasses as well for close work, but it can be a little bit tricky when you're applying makeup. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, before I tidy them up underneath, I'm just going to brush them up like that, just to give them a bit of diffusion, as it were, not to make them too dark. Now I'm going to tidy up below the brows to make sure they're really neat, and I'm going to use the NARS Creamy Concealer, the classic one, and I'm just going to, with my flat brush, I'm just going to pick up a bit of product on there, and let me come closer again. I'm going to kind of paint up here. That's it, just to even out the shape. I have actually got one brow that's slightly different from the other, which I suppose is not a surprise. Oops, let me make sure all the hairs are out of the way. Actually, I've got a bit too much product on that. Let me wipe it off. Oop. Right, and now we're just going to tidy that up a bit so that we've got nice, precise brows, if that's a thing, a precise brow. I don't know if it is. But... So I think you can see that's given quite a nice precise line underneath the brow so they look tidy. Okay, let's make a start with the eyes now, and we're going to be starting with a cream eyeshadow pencil by Bobbi Brown in Heather Steel. So again, if you've got any cream pencil, great. If you don't have a cream pencil, Smitter says use concealer, and if you've got a darkish concealer, you'll just get a different colour payoff. To be honest, as I say, any cream that you put on your lids will probably do it. Even a primer would probably do it. But in this instance, I'm going to follow Smitter and use a dark pencil, although actually her pencil that she uses isn't quite as dark as this one. And I'm just going to apply it on each lid. Doesn't really matter how. Just pop it on. And it feels a bit odd not putting any primer on my lids, but that's what she does, and so we're going to follow that and see how it goes. Okay, and now we're going to get our palette, and this is the Sigma palette Hazy, which I bought last year, which I absolutely love. And we're going to go in with a pale pink or palish pinky mauve, this mist colour at the top here. And I'm using a small brush. This is one of my new brushes that I've just bought from Beauty Pie. So what we're going to do is just blend out the edges. Just going to blend out the edges. Blending out the edges with the misty colour. Okay, that's it. Okay, so we've blended out the edges just a little bit, added a bit of pink, and the next thing we're going to do is get the sparkly colour on. So I'm going to be using Wisteria, which is this bottom one here, and I'm going to use a flat brush. I'm going to dip that into the colour here. Tap that off, and now I'm going to apply this over the brown shadow. So putting on these two colours together is what gives the duochrome effect, and I think in Smitter's video she uses a Natasha Denona palette, which, oh my lord, it's so beautiful with amazing sparkly colours. But to be honest, as I say, if you've got any sparkly colour, I think it would work brilliantly. So let me just do the other lid now. Now we're going to do a bit more blending, but we're going to use a darker colour to sort of soften the edges, and we're going to use, well, slightly darker pink, and we're going to go in with Petal, which is this one here. I'm going to use the same brush I used before, I think, because it's quite a good, one of my, as I say, one of my new Beauty Pie brushes, and I will link everything down below. I'm just going to blend the edges with this slightly darker colour. get a bit more. We can tidy it all up when we're done. Let's have a look how that's looking. Okay. Now before I tightline, I'm going to use my Kohl Kajal liner in the sort of creamy colour, because my eyes can look a little bit bloodshot, and I'm going to put this as close to the eyeball as I possibly can, and then after that I'm going to use the liner Cashmere Noir, the black one, underneath, as it were, so that hopefully I'm making my eyes, the whites of my eyes, look whiter, but then ringing them with some black, which sounds a bit counterintuitive, but you know what I mean. So just ringing those, just check that I've done that right. Yeah, that's better. Now I'll get my liner, which I absolutely love. It's just so easy to use. Just do the waterline. I have to try and do it on the outside slightly so I don't interfere with the white. Hopefully I can do that. Yeah, that's all right, isn't it? Actually, I think I've just found a method for using my mirror where I balance this on my lap. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? Because that's still keeping the white, but also putting the black slightly underneath. And now we'll tightline. Now I'm just wondering, I mean there's still plenty to do, I'm just wondering whether I do just a little bit of an outer corner black wing. Should we just give it a go? Because Smita does it and she does it beautifully, but because I'm so wrinkled I don't know whether it's really going to work, but let's give it a go anyway. I'm just going to smudge that out with the melancholy colour here, which is at the bottom in the middle, using my flat brush. Just going to bring that colour together by using an even tinier brush at the other end of my Beauty Pie newly acquired set of brushes, and I'm going to use the petal colour here, and I'm going to try and bring that underneath my eye here, just to draw down, as it were, from top to bottom. Smita puts further black eyeliner under her eye, or black shadow, but I'm not going to do that because I think it's just a bit too harsh for me. So I think putting the pink under the eye will just, as she says, kind of tie the two bits together. Let's just have a look and see. Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, I think that works. I mean, we've got to be careful not to come too far down here. I might have to tidy that up again in a minute. So I think it's coming along. I think we're nearly there. Okay, the final little bits of eyeshadow that we're going to do are the highlighter, and I'm going to use this colour Dainty right here. Hopefully this brush won't be too, it's the only clean one I've got left. Hopefully it will not be too big. So she highlights her, oh yeah, I can see actually it does look nice, just under her brow like this. So that's what we'll do. And she also puts a tiny bit in the corner. I don't know if this brush is going to be a bit big, but I suppose we can tidy up, can't we? With the cotton bud. It is a bit of a big brush, but it's the only brush I've got that hasn't got any eyeshadow on it. So let's just put a bit more, because just a little bit more. And then I will tidy up. Okay. Yeah, let's just do a little bit of tidying with the cotton bud, just to not overdo. Yeah, I think that's really coming along. Now, of course, the most important... Sorry, my mirror came out. Now, the most important thing, of course, is the mascara. So let me go off camera and do that, because otherwise this video will just go on and on forever. And then I'll see you in a minute. So we've nearly finished now. We're just going to put some lipstick on, and I'm going to use the Velvet Beauty by Lisa Eldridge, which I absolutely adore. This one, and I'm going to apply it with my fingers because I don't want too heavy a lip. As we've gotten quite big on the eyes, I think we just need to make sure that the lip, look at this beautiful, beautiful colour, that the lip is not too over the top. So let me just tap it on. It is lovely when you apply it with your finger, you know, I really like it. Actually, maybe need a tad more. Just a little bit more. Actually, I'm also just going to tidy up. I've just spotted the inner corner of this one. It looks a bit untidy. That's better, isn't it? To maybe smudge slightly into that. And we'll just finish off with a little bit of the Lisa Eldridge Lusciously Lucent or something, I think it's called. Just to get a little bit of glow. Well, I think that's really come together. And there you have it. That is my Christmas party makeup for the over 50 woman for 2021. I really hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. I'm sorry it's been quite a long one, but I hope you followed me along for the ride. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd be so grateful if you would give it a thumbs up, and better yet, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that YouTube lets you know when I upload a video. Subscribing makes such a difference to the channel. It really helps support it and helps put it in front of older women who are looking for this kind of content. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.